Kwa mjanja pia. Kwa mjanja. Hey, acha tu nivumilie hapa kidogo. Nataka kutoka huko. Tafuta pesa, tatafuta kazi zingine nipate experience kidogo. Na vitu zingine. Pesa mzuri. Vitu za dawa ndio rahisi, nishajua zote. Nishajua vitu za dawa zote. Please nipate experience na side nyingine. Sasa kitu mbona ishare? Yes. Ni shida kubwa. Kuna programu mwingine na kitu sana atakuja hapa kwa chini. Anafanya nini? Anafanya. Atakuja aende somo yeye. Atakuja aende somo. Kwa ile ofisi. Kwa ile ofisi yako hiyo. Sisi ene. Kwa zaidi. Bana, nini mbaya kitu? Zile document ama nini? What is the problem? What is the problem? Yes, Joel. So I don't know what was the problem today, but I was trying to share some. I was trying to share some file. What was happening is that it was becoming unresponsive. That's why I closed several times.
Oh, okay.
But now I'm not going to put it into presentation mode, but I'm just going to display it like this. So I don't know if is it okay with you?
Yeah, it's okay. It's okay. We can zoom and see.
Okay. So today we're going to do installation of analog system and their configuration. So you remember we talked about this, the power cables, interface, etc. So we're going to do more of installation part and configuration. So the training itself should be a practical one, but it might be a challenge, but I think you will just understand how it works, and you'll be able to achieve it. So how are we going to connect analog cables? So the way you connect cables, I think for this side you understand. So you need to supply the analog camera with a different power supply and use coaxial cable which transmits the video, alarm, or audio signal to the Xvr. So in addition, you can connect a network cable to your computer or a switch so that you can access the web interface of the Xvr, or connect it to a display, which you can also do configuration part.
Okay.
So for the installation, we have a different cables. That is from the camera side, including the power input. So sometimes you might be needed to supply a power input of 24, that is the AC. So you have different inputs for such, even for the video input, audio input, and the DIP switch. So yeah, so if you don't know, the DIP switch will help you to identify the device in the network. So the DIP switch will help you to identify the device in the network. Like for example, if you're going to have analog PTZ cameras, you can use the DIP switch to identify each unique analog PTZ camera in the surveillance network. So for typical installations of analog cameras, that is the Series 1 Bullet up to Series 3, the recommended installation standard is as follows. You need to put an installation of a maximum height of 3.5 meters. That is for the outdoor. And if you're going to do indoor installation, you need to do installation of 2.5 meters. So also we can do things like checking for power, etc. And for this case, I'm not going to talk about this, because if you're going to buy a camera, it comes with a package and like the installation part of it. That is the manual fixing of it. So that you can check from the installation, from the box that came with the camera. It's easy from that side. So we are going to talk about a bit of initial configuration. However, there's some part which you need to know prior to this accessing this menu, but we just talk about this. So I don't know if you have ever interacted with such kind of menu before.
On my side, I have.
From your side, I have. What about Joel?
Yeah, I've never seen it because we installed cameras here.
Oh, okay. The better. So this type of configuration. So if you want to access the main menu, of course, if you have interacted with this, the better, because it will be easier from my side to explain. So if you're going to do maybe installation, about configuration of PTZ camera. So I told you before you need to connect it to a RS485 port, or maybe you can control it via HDCVI. That is, you can send the control signal with the coaxial cable. And the way you do that, you check the PTZ side and go to the protocol, which you can select multiple protocols here from this side. So you can have a RS485 that is connecting directly to the PTZ, or you can control the PTZ using the coaxial side. So there's something that important called the Osd menu. So you remember when we were talking about cameras, we talked for analog cameras, we talked about features like WDR, Starlight, we talked about HLC, and that basic information, including setting the brightness of the camera, increasing the iris to allow more light. So for analog cameras, how can you achieve such settings? Because you cannot get the web interface of the camera. So you do that by Osd menu. So Osd in full means on-screen display menu. That is, you are able to access the camera menu from the display of your screen using the Xvr. So typically you right click and get to, you click on the PTZ. So you click this PTZ here. So you click on this PTZ at the bottom here. Once you have clicked it, you will be presented with such menu. So you'll get to see something like this. You click on this arrow. So after clicking on this arrow, you click on this small something like a bullet at dome camera. After that, you will click enter again. Then you can see a menu like this. So from a menu like this, you can change the video format of the camera. So if you remember when we're talking about the video format the camera supports, we have PAL and NTSC. So depending on the power frequency of your country, you can select the video format. You can even select the frames you want the video to appear at. So you can select 2 megapixels, 1 megapixels, at how many frames per second. So basically what you're doing, you're accessing the camera settings from the display side of the Xvr. So you can even adjust the image. So you can increase the brightness, you can check the sharpness of the image, etc. So those are the values that you can play with when you are accessing the camera, so that you can know which value to set. Maybe something to note, some of the settings that are usually set by default include white balance and maybe WDR or noise reduction settings, simply because most of the people would want to buy a camera and just go and do plug and play. So that's why you might find some of them have default values. Maybe you just plug and play and it's okay with you. But from your technical side, you need to understand how to go about changing such values, so that in case you are going to do some bit of troubleshooting or configuration, you know how to achieve that. So the Osd menu is important from this side. Maybe enabling or disabling audio functions. So the way you can access audio function of a camera, or maybe know whether the camera supports audio, you just go to camera settings. So you'll click this camera registration here at the bottom. After the camera registration, you'll go to search menu. Then you can select the encode settings. So you select the channel of the camera and you click on the more settings. So the more settings will present itself with the audio encode settings from the Xvr side. So you'll be able to know which format to use and maybe apply settings on the same. So at times you might have conflicts between the video and audio. That is, the encoding technology used by video and the encoding technology used by the audio will sometimes create an interference, and you might have issues with your picture. So you might try to disable audio, so you know how to disable audio, and maybe try to using different audio formats so that you can know whether the video signal is responding correctly. So that's the way you can access the audio settings. How can you do the zoom functions from of the analog camera? So the same way you can access with the Osd menu. Remember when we're talking about the motorized functions of a lens of a camera? So you have manual, you have non-motorized, and you have motorized lens cameras. So how can you access the menu? So you just click on PTZ, the same again. So depending on which channel you are, you can maximize the screen for that channel. Then right click, then go to the PTZ, and you can do the zoom, focus, and you can use this menu here to achieve that. So for PTZ functions, you can use these arrows. Maybe some of the frequently asked questions about analog cameras are, why is there some strips sometimes? So we are going to, this one is just about troubleshooting cases for analog systems. So you might face some of these problems, like you're having the display showing some lines. So how can you fix such case? So you can fix the issue by checking the video cable. So maybe the video cable is loose, that is a coaxial cable. You can confirm about the power supply. So it's good to have your power supply in one point so that you can do their management easily. And also, it's good practice to have an independent power supply to the camera. So usually we recommend a coaxial cable to connect to the camera, and you can't connect two or more coaxial cables together. Maybe at times from your technical side, maybe it's good. You can it's just a hack. You can use the Cat6 cable as your coaxial cable, but the recommended one is the coaxial cable. Also, how can you check the stripe issues can be created by interferences in the network? That is, you're having high voltage or magnetic fields nearby the power source of the camera. So for an example, for such case, you might have installed a camera in a lift, and then there's the light, and you might see the strips. So the strips is caused by the interference from the light. That's why you might have such case. That's just an example where you might face a strip lights. So if the camera is installed in an elevator, please use the 75 to 5 coaxial cable or higher. So do not connect two or more coaxial cables together. Maybe some other troubleshooting issues. So there's a question where you have a camera cannot boot up, or the reboot is continuously after connected the power supply to the cable. So that you're having the camera going off and on. So what you can do, you can check the power supply voltage. So that is the power supply, the voltage supplying the camera. So usually I think it's 12 volts. So if, for example, if you are doing the voltage of 48 series and 78, you can see the power should be over 10.8 volts. That is the 12 volts is recommended. So sorry, for such products, power supply should be 10.8 volts or higher. Otherwise, it may result in camera boot. That is the camera is trying to pull a lot of power from the power source. That's why it's rebooting each and every time. So we check the power supply. And also use the recommended power supply by the manufacturer. So if the camera is rebooting each and every time, you check the power supply. So that's basically what it means. Maybe another question regarding HDCVI system, you're having a white spot wave stripe, or the video is distorted. Maybe the video is appearing different way. But later we come and do some troubleshooting, more troubleshooting from this side. I'll prepare a better troubleshooting document for this case. So how do you fix such case? You can check if there is a strong electric power source nearby. So you can check if the DVR is supplying an AC of to 20 volts, or DC is okay. And if it's an AC, you confirm that the socket is earthed. Some of the other things you can check is the camera combination cable and the BNC port connected to a coaxial cable have come in contact with the peripheral conducting objects such as ceiling. So like the coaxial cable is not is not connected to anything else that is conductive that might lose the signal away. Installation of the Xvr or the DVR. So the way you can connect the Xvr, that is connecting the hard disk. So it usually comes with the screws for the hard disk. This one is just not something hard you can do from your side. I'm not going to go through this. We talked about the common interfaces in the Xvr. Maybe some of the indicators. You can have the hard disk indicator. You can check the network indicator, power, and USB. Those are the indicator lights at the front. So for Xvr configuration, so we have different menus. I think also you are familiar with this case. So device initialization, you can, if you turn on the device for the first time, you can see, select the region. And if you select the region, it will show you the video format by default. So I think if you have done this, you might have known which video format your country is supporting. Unlock pattern. So it's at times it's maybe let me just highlight something about password protection. So it's good for you to set emails and security question for your reset of your password. Like for the case like from Fleury, I think your country might be having issues with accessing the repair center or service center for DAWA. So it's good for you to have the email address and security question installed so that you can use that information for resetting your devices. If you have not set it, alternatively, you cannot set it so that in case you want to reset the password, you now set the email. So you, depending on how you can do that, you can decide how to achieve such case. So startup wizard. So there's something here maybe we can you need to put in consideration. So there's this called Ipc Time Sync. Maybe just let me highlight this one. So this means the device here is an Xvr, means you can connect IP cameras to this. So you need to check this one is enabled. The reason as to why is because at times you might have a situation where you're trying to do a playback of a video and you're having the video tries it's cutting, like it's playing fast or then it goes slow, then it jumps some section. So for you to avoid such things, you need to do IP sync time. Means the Xvr will always try to set the time for the camera. That will enable to have consistent time between the Xvr and the IPC so that the video cannot be cut. For IP, you can it's just an IP address for the interface of the Xvr. So if you need to do P2P, like Xvr to access internet, if you know well your network settings, you can apply the settings here so that the device can become online and you can access it remotely. So sometimes you might have a situation where you have the serial number is 00. So if your serial number is 00, you cannot access this device via P2P. So the serial number needs to be a value here. And if it's 00, it needs to be written a serial number that is from our side. We need to have the device and write a serial number to it so that you can access P2P. So encode mode. So encode mode, you can select the encode mode, but it's good to always select the highest compression technology. That is to save on space and bandwidth. So you can select H265 for better. So if you have H265 selected, H265 plus, go with that. So frame rate and bitrate. So the higher the frame rate, the higher the bitrate, you can that is the more bandwidth consumption in the network. Also,
yes.
It's a good practice. Okay.
On that this section.
Which section?
What we are about 265.
265. Okay.
There are some when I configured this compression.
Yes.
But the hard disk is still using a lot of storage.
A lot of storage.
It can make many days. Is there any other settings I can do so that I can gain in days.
Okay, maybe one of the things you can do, you can try to do recording on motion. That will save you on bandwidth and the storage, because if you do
Motion
on motion recording, we'll see how we can do that settings later.
Okay.
Yeah, but basically you're not going to record everything continuous. Like if you're recording a room and there's no one or no movement in that room, there's no need to record that information. Only record when there is activity.
Yeah, of course.
Yes.
But there are some camera like in factory when you have to have both.
Yes.
This is consuming a lot of bandwidth. So if there was any way I can reduce that.
So for bandwidth practices, one of them is using high compression technology. You can try reducing the resolution.
Resolution, yeah.
Yes. So this one is more of the display part, what you are seeing at the moment and what is coming. Or you can record that substream. Later I'll show you how we can achieve that. Keep in mind.
Okay. Good.
So for storage, always select overwrite if it's full. Also, depending on your case, you can format it. Okay, for storage settings, so you go to menu, storage, and basic. So this is regarding the video that will be stored in your hard disk. So you can do recording on regular. So regular means you're recording every time.
Yeah.
Motion detection, only record when there is activity in the view. Alarms. So depending on the, maybe if you have said perimeter protection, IVS, etc., you can do recording on such case, or you can do motion detection and alarm. So IVS and alarm are more the same thing. So alarm you can introduce even third party or etc. But so IVS recording is only IVS rules which are broken. So for Xvr, you can have. So we've talked about Xvr supporting IP and analog cameras. So how can you select which channels to do IP and others to do analog? You can go to the camera settings, then you go to camera type. Then you can select which channels do analog and which one do IP. Like for this case, from channel 1 to 16, they have done analog, and then from 17 to 12, sorry, I think 17 to 32, they have done IP camera. So if you have enabled IP camera, you can now search in the network and get the IP of the cameras and add it to your system. So how can you modify IP address of the camera? So if you see a camera from this view, you can edit it. That is, select the camera, edit, then you can use the password and change the IP address and click OK. Option, you can add it to your system. It's just modifying the IP address of the camera. Maybe apart from the on-screen display, you can access the only minimal settings on the main menu, camera, then you go to image, then you can set the image parameters for analog cameras and the IP camera. So live view, I think you understand this live view, what it means. So how can you change the appearances of this? Like you want channel 5 to come near channel 1. So how can you do that? So from the new interface of the Xvr, you go to sequence, then now you can drag which camera go which point, then you can click apply. So in the previous interface, you simply drag the camera to which side you want to appear and it will work. But from this side, you need to do sequence, then you drag the camera, then you do apply. So maybe some common problems with viewing on Xvr. You might have a situation where you are double clicking on a camera view, but you're getting a black screen. So how can you fix such case? So you check on the resolution, bitrate. So trying to reduce such values. So it means that the decoding capabilities is beyond the Xvr. That is the Xvr cannot produce that big output to go to the display. So we try to reduce these values. Sometimes you might have issues with over decodability. So you need to check whether the subscreen has been enabled from the Xvr side. Also, you can do these settings of resolution and encode mode, or you can switch to substream. So for storage, so video tour. So this is just some live view operations. Video tour means you want to the cameras on the live view to show automatically. So you go to display, then enable tour. For example, if you want to implement 4 screen round robin, means that you display 4 screen, then go to the next 4 screen by the screen on the big screen. You must click the drop down box of the screen split in sequence, then click single screen, 8 screen, 9 screen, remove all of them, and only keep which screen you want to appear, maybe 4 or 2, depending on your settings. So it's just something very simple, not hard. So storage management and HDD. So you can go to storage hard disk manager, then you can check the record estimate. So for Joel, you can use this information to approximate how long your hard disk will stay. So you go to HDD manager, record estimate, then you can change this value so that you can reach your plan. So recording mode. So for recording mode, you can do recording on either mainstream, subscreen, or snapshot. So if you record on mainstream, it means that your video will be very large and the hard disk will be used is very big. If you record on substream, it means that the video will be the video will be small and the storage will be used. It will be less. However, the quality will come way down. So we talk about the schedule. So for storage management, how do you play back? Just click playback. I think it's in just playback or search. Then you can get the video. So you have the option of exporting. So you want to say to export a section of a clip. Just click on the scissor side. It will tell you which time. So you will have identified which time you want to export. Then you save with a name. So splice playback means you are playing a long video into several intervals. So like you might play intervals of 15 minutes, 30 minutes in different windows. So how do you achieve that? You select the single channel, that is maybe one video channel. Then you splice playback mode. So the splice playback mode would appear from which side? From the bottom side. So you click here, playback mode, then you select how many windows. So it's like more of like next step, something that's just easy for you to achieve. Maybe some other configuration of event. So how do you achieve motion detection from the Xvr? So you go to main menu, alarm, video detect, then go to motion detection. So you can configure settings for the motion detection. So because you cannot access the web interface of the camera and you need to do maybe motion detection recording, you can achieve it from this side here. IVS settings. So we talked about IVS and perimeter protection. So IVS include functions like tripwire and intrusion. How can you do IVS settings in an Xvr? You go to main menu, then select smart detection or AI. So it might be either smart detection or AI, then you go to parameters, then you go to IVS. So you select which camera, then you select the IVS function, you click add. So you're going to add a new rule. Then after adding, you might select which type of IVS. So we talked about tripwire and intrusion. So if you select tripwire, then you can select draw. It will show you the window or the view so that you can draw the IVS rule. And maybe you can even add other actions, like you might connect your DVR to an external alarm panel, and you can trigger that from the actions to be triggered side. So this is more of a practical side. I think you can achieve, maybe I just tell you the overview. So how do you restore maybe some basic maintenance of Xvr, including restoring the Xvr to default? So you go to main menu, system settings, then you go to default. You can reset so you can choose the options to reset. You can leave the storage and maybe other functions. How do you check the system version? Main menu, information, then you go to version. So sometimes you might be facing issues like for NVR side, like conf log error. So it's good for you to have your system up to date so that the patches and then maybe some bugs that might have existed and not be known will be fixed. So upgrading the Xvr. So you go to main menu, go to system upgrade. So if you select system upgrade, you can do manual check. That is, if your Xvr is connected to the internet, it will try to check automatically and upgrade. For if you are going to do an upgrade with a USB, so you need to download the file from the site, from the website. After downloading the file, you extract the files. It is usually compressed. You extract the files, then copy the extracted files into an empty USB disk, plug in the USB disk into your Xvr. Then you can do upgrade by selecting usually the file has general, then the name of the Xvr or DH, name of Xvr, XXX something with bin. Or if you plug in directly, it will show you just upgrade the system. So maybe a process for resetting the Xvr. So how do you reset Xvr? So you click forgetting the login interface, click forgot password. So for this case, if you had set the email before, you will be given this QR code to scan. If you had not set the email before while initializing the device, you can set now the email that you want to reset it with, and you need to be able to access that email, like be able to log into that email and get the files that it will be sent. So after the steps for resetting is indicated there. So you usually scan the QR code, then it will tell you the result. You send that. The result will be sent to your email. Like you scan it with your phone, and you will receive an email for the same email code. Then paste the code here. Then it will tell you to reset. You will have to set a new password. Maybe some of the frequently asked questions regarding Xvr. So you forgot password, you can use security question to get back the password and use the email for this case. And our camera does not show the video on the Xvr. So in the Xvr local menu, it will show you the offline reason. So this one should be an IP camera. So this one should be a IPC. So you might having an IP camera does not show on the video on the Xvr. So on the menu or on the display, it will show you the reason. If it's password, it will tell you. If the account is locked, it will tell you. This one is also IPC. So this one, it will show you the IPC reason. Also, if you are facing issues with it, you can consult us. We can help you. You cannot search the local records. At times, you cannot find the videos that is recorded. So you can confirm if the hard disk is connected well. If the jumper is damaged, that is the physically confirmed with the physical side. And also maybe the upgrade program is not compatible, or the recorded file has been overwritten. Sometimes you might not find a video because it is overwritten. Or you have not set the recording function. You have not set the Xvr to be able to record. So that's all on Xvr, or analog products installation and configuration. So I don't know, is there any question regarding that? Maybe some concern? So from my side, I think you're okay with it.
Yeah, I've been following very well.
Okay. So should we continue with the IP camera and NVR?
Yes, we can continue.
Yes, we can continue.
Okay, so we can take a break of 10 minutes. We come at 45. So Fleury side, I hope you're okay.
Yes, I'm okay. In
Okay.
10 minutes.
Sorry?
In 10 minutes.
Yes, in 10 minutes we come and we resume with the IP camera.
Okay.
Okay.
I'm okay.
I have 5,000. I have 1,000.